Hey guys, so for today's video I wanted to think outside the box a little bit and take a look at all of the recent Barracuda or Cuda rumors that have been going around for the past 13 years. Of course, the Cuda used to fall under the Plymouth nameplate, but with that long gone, you have to assume it would return as a Dodge, who holds all of the current muscle cars for Chrysler. So in today's video we'll look at a very short history of the original Plymouth Barracuda, then take a look at the timeline of various rumors and hints that we've seen from the Mopar world about a possible Cuda return, including concepts and interviews. And then we'll end off by discussing what a modern day Barracuda would look like and if it would make any sense based on all the information out there. Throughout the video you'll see some pictures of the originals, a concept, as well as many artist and fan renditions of the vehicle. So let's get started. Going back in time, the Plymouth Barracuda was a two-door pony car made by Plymouth from 1964 to 1974. There were three generations. The first was a hardtop fastback, based on the A-body platform shared with the Plymouth Valiant. It was recognizable by the long wraparound back glass, and the first gen lasted from 1964 to 1966. The second gen Barracuda was built from 1967 to 1969. It still shared many components with the Valiant, but was stylishly redesigned with model-specific sheet metal, and a convertible and hardtop coupe joined the original fastback. The third generation was offered from 1970 to 1974, and that switched over to the Chrysler E-body, now similar to the Challenger, in hardtop and convertible bodies. There was a base Barracuda, luxury-oriented Grand Coupe, and the sport model Cuda that could be had with V8s. After 1974, the Barracuda was discontinued. Fun fact, in 2014, a 1971 Hemi Cuda convertible sold for $3.5 million at auction, making it one of the most expensive Mopars ever. The idea of bringing back the Barracuda name began with a concept at the 2007 SEMA show that was called the BBP Project Cuda. All these Cuda rumors originally came back to fruition after the announcement of the 2008 Dodge Challenger. This concept wasn't actually built by Chrysler, but instead by the Metal Crafters organization in California. They wanted to encourage Chrysler Corporation to bring back the Cuda model. This company had also made many concept cars under contract with Chrysler, such as the 2006 Dodge Challenger concept. Metal Crafters took a stock 2007 Charger SRT8 and stripped the car down to the chassis. They cut the chassis in half and shortened it by 4 inches before making a full-scale foam model of the car, including axles, wheels, and tires. They then fitted a one-piece carbon fiber body to the chassis and cut out areas for the doors, trunk, and hood, and converted the interior into a two-door coupe, retaining the stock instrument panel. The front end got revised with single projector headlights, a new grille, and a black shaker hood, like the models from 1970 and 1971. The rear got new lights, a central fuel filler cap, and a small carbon fiber spoiler. The stock drivetrain and electrical system were retained, including the 6.1-liter Hemi V8, but they would add Flowmaster mufflers and 22-inch Zanetti 5s wheels, with 265/35/22 Pirelli P0 tires in the front, and 305/35/22s in the rear. And finally, aside from all the carbon fiber pieces, the Cuda was painted in Lamborghini Pearl Orange. While many had hoped that more would come from this concept regarding the Barracuda name, nothing really did, and it ended up being a one-off. It was sold back in 2008 for $159,500 at a Barrett-Jackson auction with just 63 miles on the dash. It's drivable and road legal, and although it's technically badgeless, for insurance purposes it's still an '07 Charger SRT8. If nothing else, this concept sparked rumors and interest about a future Cuda. Things were quiet again for several years before the Cuda rumors started up again in November 2010. Ralph Gilles, who was Chrysler's chief designer and head of the Dodge brand at this time, was asked at the SEMA show in Las Vegas if there was room in the US market for another retro-styled muscle car. He answered by saying that, quote, he was seriously thinking of how to revive the Plymouth Barracuda, end quote. He also said, quote, there's a lot of pressure on us to bring the Cuda back. Customers have been stomping their feet for it, end quote. So these words gave Cuda fans and the Mopar faithful something to believe in. By 2014, Mopar fans were hoping that there would be a 2015 SRT Barracuda to truly compete with the Mustang and Camaro, and media outlets like Motor Trend and Car and Driver were pushing this narrative as well. Hot Rod magazine had another interview with Ralph Gilles. He was asked about being behind Ford and Chevy in horsepower, and he responded with the long quote you can find on screen. The main point here was that he responded by saying that their flagship car was not the most powerful car in their arsenal, and they had an internal horsepower race as well as an external one. Gilles also had an Australian cattle dog that he named Cuda, so he really did love the car. Many were quick to speculate about these words again. At the time, the SRT Viper was the flagship vehicle with 640 horsepower. Gilles had let it slip that one of the 2015 muscle cars would have more horsepower than that, and Car and Driver was even reporting that it would be a Barracuda with the 6.2-liter supercharged Hemi V8 with between 580 to 650 horsepower. They claimed that it made sense, since the Cuda was originally a Plymouth and not a Dodge, so it could have fit alongside the Viper as an SRT-branded vehicle. Insiders were reporting that Chrysler was actually considering this. Everything would end up getting thrown out the window because the real Cuda would have no resemblance to the original Plymouth version, and designers were finding it very difficult to simply shrink down the Challenger and still keep its good looks and big powertrains. The Viper would also become a Dodge again in 2014, and it ended up that the Charger and Challenger would get the 6.2 supercharged V8 and become Hellcats. Although the chances of the Barracuda seem slim after the release of the 2015 Challenger Hellcat, FCA did trademark the Cuda and Barracuda names on June 23, 2015, for use in, quote, motor vehicles, namely passenger automobiles, their structural parts, trims, and badges, end quote. They also filed for the SRT Hellcat logo, the Trackhawk name, and the Chrysler 100 name. The names would be renewed 2 years later on June 23, 2017. So again, people were quick to jump on things and see this as a guaranteed sign of a new muscle car coming in the future. However, it's likely that Chrysler just wanted to maintain the rights to the names and not allow any other automaker to use those nameplates. So the renewal at the Patent and Trademark Office was probably just routine. Once again, there was a lull for a few years before heavy Barracuda rumors started up in October of 2019. I'm not sure what sparked them this time around, but with the increased online activity, including many YouTube videos, media articles, and artist renderings floating around, I guess it was bound to happen. So now for the next portion of the video, we'll discuss what a possible production Barracuda would look like, and if it would make any sense. Before I go further, I do want to reiterate that this information is all rumors and is meant for more of a discussion. These are things that I've heard and things that I've read, but it's not concrete evidence, and even though I've seen many articles and YouTube videos claiming that this car is confirmed and on its way for 2021 or beyond, that's not the case as of right now. This information is just what the Barracuda would likely be like, and then we'll discuss if that would make any sense and be feasible. We'll go over what we know about the exterior and chassis, interior, performance, suspension, and pricing. Again, many of the pictures you see may be in artist or fan renditions, and may or may not actually resemble what a real production Barracuda would look like. So the design would be shaped by the third generation built in 1970 and 1971, since that's the most recognizable, aggressive, and muscular version of the original. Dodge is reportedly going for the brand new styling, so it's not going to be too similar to the Challenger. The aim here is to reflect some of the nostalgia of the third gen Cuda, while still meeting all of the safety and emissions requirements. So the expectation is that the Cuda would be smaller and lighter than the Challenger in order to compete better with the Mustang and Camaro pony cars. The chassis would likely be on something similar to the Giorgio platform, which the Alfa Romeo Giulia and Stelvio currently ride on. It sounds like the next-gen Jeep Grand Cherokee will also share the same platform as well. An entirely new platform seems unlikely, unless it will be shared by other FCA models for economies of scale. The current LX platform on the Challenger has been in use since 2008 with minimal changes, so that would probably be replaced on the Barracuda, but reports say that it will live on for the Charger and Challenger in the near future. That Giorgio platform is lighter and more modern than what Dodge has to offer, so it would make sense, and it's also an opportunity for Dodge to start to move away from the LX platform and gauge the public reception. This would also mean smaller dimensions than the current Challenger. Right now, the Challenger is 197.7 inches long, while the Camaro and Mustang are both 188.3 inches long. So the Barracuda is expected to lose 6 inches from the Challenger wheelbase and 8 inches from the length, giving it a smaller size closer to the other two cars. The rear track and width would also shrink by 2 inches as well. All of these changes would help the weight drop by at least 250 to 300 pounds. Another disadvantage of the Challenger is that it's only sold as a coupe, while the Camaro and Mustang offer convertibles as well, so you have to think the Cuda would have some type of drop-top option alongside the coupe. The interior would be the classic sports coupe layout, with comfortable front seats and more cramped room in the rear due to less length and a shorter wheelbase when compared to the Challenger. Otherwise, I'd expect it to look similar to the inside of the current ones. The one main difference is that I would think the Cuda would get the new Uconnect 5 system that first debuted on the new 2021 Pacifica. So that system features a 10.1-inch touchscreen, 5 times faster processor, and Alexa built in, which you can ask to start the car, unlock the doors, check the news, and more. Chrysler is also trying to get some new features to catch on, like a Uconnect Market, where you can make reservations, find and pay for parking, order pizza for the family, and other features, but I'm not sure if that's going to be ready anytime soon. The engine offerings will probably be similar, with 4, 6, and 8-cylinder offerings from 2 liters to 6.2 liters. No word on the transmissions. It looks as if the 3.6-liter Pentastar V6 could live on as a base model Barracuda, but Dodge could also introduce a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, seeing as both Ford and Chevy have gone that route already. The 4-cylinder would have to be somewhere in the ballpark of 300 horsepower to compete, as the Mustang EcoBoost has 310 horsepower, while the Camaro turbocharged 4-cylinder has 275 currently. They could also simply use the 2-liter 4-cylinder from the Alfa Romeo Giulia, which has 276 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. The turbocharged 2.9-liter V6 could be another option, taken from the Giulia Quadrifoglio, as that has an output of 505 horsepower and 443 pound-feet of torque. No word if the current V8s will live on, like the 5.7-liter and 6.4-liter Hemis. The top model is rumored to be an updated 6.2-liter supercharged engine, and some are saying the displacement could increase to 6.4 liters with a larger bore for a longer stroke, giving it over 800 horsepower from the factory, and there's also word of E85 capability for this engine. Due to the smaller body and lighter weight, the Barracuda should be at least a few tenths of a second faster than the Challenger counterparts, while the top model should hit 60 miles per hour in under 3 seconds. Some have even said that it will be able to surpass the Viper's 203 mile per hour top speed benchmark. The suspension also remains a mystery. There have been some reports Chrysler has been working with both the in-house SRT team and third-party engineers, so the results could be things like magnetic dampening, a strut front suspension, and replacing the old solid rear axle with an independent rear suspension, as Ford and Chevy both did to the Mustang and Camaro with their latest updates. Of course, we can also expect stiffer springs and a lower ride height on the higher-end models. The Mustang and Camaro have base models starting at just above $26,000, so that's likely where the base model Cuda would fall as well. The performance or SRT models could reach over $70,000, like the current Challenger Hellcats. So the big question here is this feasible and does it make sense? I've come up with a few points that are in favor of the Barracuda returning. First, it could take the place the Viper used to hold as the flagship vehicle of Dodge, with a beefed-up engine, or it could simply be offered as a direct competitor with the pony cars, with smaller dimensions and a convertible option. There are many different ways that Dodge could go. Make a convertible Challenger and call it a Barracuda, introduce a totally new model and bring back the SRT Hemi Cuda, or make it a one-off variant like the Demon was. Either way, the Barracuda seems to have this huge following of people, and many would love to see its return. Plus, it could give Dodge a huge spark, as that would be massive news for a company that already seems to get a lot of attention. Finally, it offers a very nice opportunity for Dodge to get away from that ancient Daimler Chrysler LX platform and switch over to the more modern Alfa Romeo platform and powertrains. While there are a lot of aspects about a Barracuda return that make sense, the rumors have been around since 2007, and they resurface every few years since then, so there's major reason for doubt. I personally am more of a skeptical person, and I don't believe this really fills any void that Dodge has right now. It would probably be too similar to the Challenger, even with the smaller wheelbase and size, and if you add it alongside the Challenger, it seems like a waste and could take the sales away, and the Challenger still does sell very well. However, if you simply replace the Challenger, there would probably be an uproar from the Mopar community, so that's not the answer. And a Chrysler Cuda doesn't make much sense either, as Chrysler themselves are moving towards people movers and technologies, like minivans and hybrid vehicles. If you add in a recession, a COVID-19 pandemic, a merger with PSA, and more of a market demand for more CUVs, the Cuda just does not have that much going for it at this time, but I do hope I'm wrong because I would love to see it return as much as you guys. Maybe this could be a thing in the future, like a next-gen model. So that's the end of this video, guys. What do you make of all this? Do you think the Barracuda will remain a rumor that we can't have, or will it possibly return to the light one day as a production vehicle? Let me know down in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, make sure to like and subscribe for all your Mopar content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.